No. Yes. No, you are able to see the screen, no?
Yes, sir.
So you remember, right? What is the current status? We are discussing right now in the course. Yeah, I hope all of you are watching the videos. What is that we are focusing on? See, what is the current
Energy method.
It is
Energy method.
Energy method.
energy methods. Okay, excellent. So this is what we have been discussing. Now, what is the main advantage of energy method? See, there are force equilibrium you followed, right? We write the equilibrium equation and then we solve eigenvalue problem. We get the buckling mode and buckling mode shapes. What is advantage of energy methods? Why we have to do these energy methods? What is the main advantage? You would have done even in your structural mechanics, dynamics, and other courses also. So initially, people will teach you the equilibrium or equations of motion and others. After some point of a time, say, okay, so we will go into energy methods. So what is the main basis for this energy methods? Why do we do this one? Now, why do we require? Why these energy methods are required? Basically, what is the main advantages of energy methods?
Quick solutions.
Solutions. Okay.
Quick solutions.
Okay, quick solution, that may be fine. One nice answer. What is the main basis, or what is the main? Why do we require this? Only to find out quick solution we are doing this, or what is that thing? Like in any way, if you would have looked at the videos which I have, past videos also, so you would have done right. We started in our class also, like to say simply supported column, fixed, and all those things. I think variety, stepped column, this column, that column you would have done. Column immersed in water. Then you would have seen self buckling also. Okay. Now, when the column was self-buckling, say, what was the equations of motion, or what type of equations we had? What was the solution? What is the buckling mode shapes, say, for self-buckling? What type of functions you got in for buckling mode shapes when you did the self-buckling, say, the column buckling under its own weight? The buckling mode shapes are described by what type of functions? What is that characteristic equation? That contains what type of terms? Bessel. The ordinary column, you will get a sine KL is equal to 0 like that. But finally, you will go to Bessel functions, and so things becomes and Bessel functions means roots of Bessel functions. So you have to do it numerically. Okay, it is not like a sine pi by 2 like that you follow it. Sine pi 0, we get the roots like that. So things becomes very complex basically. Okay, and sometimes what happens is deriving the equations of motion, say. So if I want to derive an equation of motion, okay, so that itself is very difficult in many of the cases. In dynamics also, you would have studied, like you see, if you have like a bar problem, some spring here, you follow, right, something here, then another mass is here, say. Okay, so if you have complicated problems are there, if you want to derive equation of motion, so one way is you write the free body diagram, and then you find out force gives and others, sigma effects, and then you can derive. And sometimes this force methods, it will be very complex actually. So to derive the solution is that's a different issue, quick solution. But to derive the equations of motion itself will be very difficult actually. Okay, so that's why these energy methods comes into picture actually. So energy methods, the main advantage is you can derive even equation of motion also. That is the most important thing. So you can even derive the equation of motion in a very simple format. Just write some potential energy, some kinetic energy, some expressions you write, and then you minimize with respect to something. Automatically, it will give you the equation of motion also. You followed, right? So that is why the advantage of energy method. And of course, apart from that, once you write energies, you can get quick solutions also. And then, as already I mentioned the methodology, like in eigenvalue problems, say, there are two things are there. like you say, first you find out the eigenvalue, then you find out the eigenvectors. There is an alternative also you can do. You give the eigenvector, you assume first, then you find out the eigenvalue also. Okay, both the ways, sometimes, whichever is convenient. So you can do all those things. So the main advantage of energy methods is not only to find out the quick solution, it is also to find out equations of motion also. You followed. You would have done a free body diagram that maybe you followed it. So that is also a main objective of this itself. Okay. So in the last class, I think that where the video was half this one. So the energy methods you followed, right? We would have discussed actually. Okay, the conservation of energy. So you have, right, a conservative system. Equilibrium means, you see, a strain energy is stored. Like that expression. So the work done by the load or whatever. So strain energy is equal to, say, work done by the load. So many things are there. Stationary. You followed it, but all of them anyway, they go on this concepts itself. So that delta U is equal to delta W, and then I think the equations also I would have derived. I think that video contains. So delta WV is some P into delta B, then this becomes a P by 2, 0 to L. So all the derivation I would have, the videos they are there. Okay, so square dx kind of thing, and delta U say. This is which comes from the strain energy, that is a bending strain energy. So 0 to L. So d square y by, you see, dx square, you see, whole square dx. So these were the energies. So both of them you have to equate. So then you can find out the buckling load also. So this we would have discussed in that video also. And then the most important thing, what you would have, what I think in this method say that you assumed that the first buckling mode shape. So if you assume for the simply supported column set, okay. So if you write like this, that is, as already I told you, there are two ways are there generally in eigenvalues. So one is you get the eigenvalue, then you get the buckling mode, or if you can, if you are good enough, say, to predict the buckling mode, then you find out the corresponding, the eigenvalue also. So we took this for that simply supported in the video, and finally we got, I think, a PCR as pi square, you see, exact we got actually. So why did we get exact result? In that video also, by taking sine pi x by L. No. See, we got the exact answer, right? By taking a sine pi x by L in the video, that you come to delta W, delta U, and if you equate it, say, we got PCR as pi square AI by L square. Now, so what is the reason for this?
Because our eigenvector is like accurate, like exact.
Exact. Excellent. Okay, since you have assumed the eigenvector excellent, so you got the obviously you followed it, you will get the best value. But many times in practical problems, there is nothing like exact, or you may not have this type of a luxury actually. Okay, so what we try to do in practice, so what is other way? What type of functions generally we use to eigenvectors? See these mode shapes. Generally, in practice, infinite elements are you followed, right? So these type of problems, okay? So what type of functions we use to assume the mode shapes? What type of, one is Fourier series. What is the easier one?
Polynomial functions.
Polynomial. That generally in your what is it? Strength of materials, that structure analysis, whenever a beam is getting bent, so buckling is also bending only. So all bending, you remember the deflection curves, we use polynomials generally, okay. Anyway, Fourier series, that is perfectly fine. That is one way. Other simple things in our engineering, we don't use Fourier series generally, okay. Maybe dynamics and other things we use, of course, buckling also it comes, but generally polynomials, we are all, very this one. And polynomial, the advantage is derivation, the derivative, and integrations. It is very easy, like x square means 2x, then 3, it is very easy to do all the other functions itself. So this is also very, very popular. So like all of you have done finite elements, right? In finite elements, what do you use? You use a Fourier series, or what do you use to represent that shape function or displacement field in any element? No.
Polynomial.
Polynomials. Did you use a Fourier series there?
No, sir.
Fourier series to represent displacement field in general finite element course. We don't use actually, okay? But of course, that's a different issue, like other elements are there, but generally polynomials are the most easiest one for engineers, okay? Because anyway, you would have done in strength of material course, bending and others, you know, the solution is in terms of polynomials also. Now the same problem, say the same simply supported column, if you use a polynomial approximation, say what we get. So these are very interesting, okay, because we are all accustomed to polynomial. So if I take a polynomial, so like a quadrant, so like generally for bending curve, say what is the order of the polynomial you have to use? No. So let us say for this problem I use a quadratic equation actually, okay. So some cx square. So a, b, c, these are all some constants. So this is my mode shape. Okay, I will assume that my mode shape is as a polynomial, not as a sine index. Okay, so I have assumed my mode shape as a polynomial. Okay, so this will bring one very important concept we will bring out here. So now generally, so this is my mode shape. This is what I have assumed. Okay, so now so the first derivative, say it is b plus some 2cx, and then second derivative, say is basically is a 2c. Okay, now we have to satisfy the boundary conditions, because it is a simply supported column, so the deflection has to be 0 at x is equal to 0 and at x is equal to L also. So we enforce this boundary conditions. Okay, so I will get some b is equal to minus CL and a will be equal to 0. So my mode shape will be something like c into x square minus xl. Okay, so this is my mode shape basically. Okay, so because of this boundary condition. So now I will assume my mode shape as like this. My first mode shape, say the first buckling mode shape. This is an assumption, and let us see what happens. Okay, whether we will get correct answer, or if you assume sine kx by that pi x by, you will get exact value. If I assume like this, what happens? Just a curiosity. So now you find out your energy. So now it is very easy, So now delta W, so it's very easy to calculate. Why? What the reason is, now we have written dy by dx. See, y is in terms of polynomials, say. So derivative is very easy. So simply x square is a 2x and this becomes L. So you can easily calculate all the derivatives actually. So d square y by dx square, they are very simple, for the calculations. So you calculate, say delta W, all other things, it's delta W, delta U, say just a straightforward substitution only, nothing a big deal, because these are all polynomials. C square L cube by 6 and then del U, say. So just the derivative only you have to calculate, 2ei c square into L, say. So now you have to equate delta W is equal to delta U. So finally, this turns out to be the P critical buckling load, say, is a 12 EI by the L square. So this is what you get actually. Okay. No, but the actual load is pi square EI by L square for simply supported. Pi square, if you try to find out, so this turns out to be 9.87 EI by L square. And now you tell me how much you followed, whether whatever answer we have got is correct or what is that we have got. No. See, exact value for simply supported beam is pi square EI by L square. So pi square is a 3 point, if you take squares, 9.87 you will get. Now how much we have got? 12 EI by L square. Now what is your comment? Tell me, what is the comment?
Higher order polynomial.
Which one?
So we have to take higher order polynomial to get exact.
Follow. That is fine. The higher order polynomial we will take. That is one good thing which you have told. So there is some error actually. So if you try to calculate the percentages, say, okay. So this is something like
17% error.
So it says 21% more than.
21.
Okay.
21.
21% more than the exact value that is given in the book, so they have calculated. So this is how, we have got. So now if you want to, why this came, so now why this error came, what is the reason? Just to see at the polynomial and tell me what is the reason for this. Of course, as you rightly pointed out, you have to use higher order, then you will get a good result. That is no doubt, that is perfectly fine. Now for this problem, why error came actually? This much error, if you see.
natural boundary condition is not satisfied by using this polynomial.
What do you mean by natural?
Like shear force and bending moment at the end.
Okay, very good. So there is no thing here. What is the shear force now? See, we have taken quadratic equation. So if you take a shear force will be so shear force is related to which derivative?
Third order.
dqx by dqy by dx cube. It is 0.
So that is the third derivative. Now here, what is the third derivative?
0, sir.
0, sir.
0. And what is the second derivative is related to bending moment. So bending moment, what is the assumption here? If you take this polynomial,
Bending moment is constant throughout the section.
Bending moment is constant.
Bending moment is constant. So you follow, right? So your deflection may be fine. So deflection may be good actually. You would have approximated the deflection profile properly, but we would have done mistakes in assuming the higher order, the derivative. So now if you want to decrease the error, say there is one trick here is there. No need to use any, the higher order polynomial or anything. We can still improve the problem by slightly this one. So if you look at this strain energy, say we have written what is the expression here. So EI by 2 0 TL we have written d square y by dx square here. So now in this expression we are using directly the d square y by dx square. So that is the second derivative itself is being used directly in this expression. So now when you assume something, say you would have done a nice good assumption. You would have made a nice assumption about the mode shape. But as rightly you pointed out, we would have missed on the higher order terms actually. Bending moment, there our assumption will be, you would have done some mistakes kind of thing itself. So now to improve this solution, say, of course, you can add higher order terms and then, bending moment is 0, this side, that side, and you can obviously get a result. But with this itself, you can do a clever, the thing. So like if you see the strain energy, say, so our original expression was EI by, 2. So y double dash square dx. We have directly written in terms of y double dash actually. So intelligent way is, so it's because y double dash approximation is not proper with this polynomial or whatever. So we can also do like this. So m square, EI by, so 2 EI by d is the original strain energy. Now I will substitute my strain m is equal to p times y actually. Okay, so py square by 2 EI dx, because m anyway is equal to p times y, so my column say it is a p you followed, right? So when it is getting deflected, p times y I can take. Now I will use this expression, say. Now look at these two expressions carefully. You followed, right? In this expression you are using directly y double dash, but here you are using y itself. So the deflection itself you are using. Now use this expression and then once again we calculate our delta u. So instead of y double dash, we are using directly this itself. So p square L to the power of 5, c to the power of 5, and then 60 times you see EI. C no need to worry, that is this one. And finally, when you equate these two delta W, say, okay, so you will get critical buckling load as 10 EI by L square. Now you comment on the, now you tell me what is the exact value is how much? 9.87. When you used y double dash directly, you are using in the expressions, and since you have made a error in y double dash calculation, so you got 12 VI. Now when you use y itself, so like just intelligent, instead of using y double dash, if you use y, now what has happened to the solution? Exact is 9.87 EI by L square. Now tell me, what is your comment?
Error is only 1.3%.
So now what is your comment finally? Now what is that you understood from this exercise? So now what is so of course here the error is very small and 1.3% or whatever. So it is almost 10 is you are almost in our engineering 9.87 we generally round it off. Okay, so it turns out to be 10 itself. So now what is your what is the important comment you have understood right now from this exercise? So whether you have to go for higher order polynomials or what is that you will try to do intelligent way. I think one of you told that you have to use higher order polynomials, say. Tell me, what is that you have seen here?
So instead of using its derivatives as because it doesn't match with the proper values, we have directly used the assumed equation itself.
So that is the most important thing. So generally what you have to do is, so whenever you are solving problems, you say, okay, so you keep this in your mind that, you know, without even going for higher order polynomials, maybe there may be some tricks actually, okay, maybe available. You may get a nice result, say, by assuming, you know, just by modifying the just the functional equation itself. Okay, so this is the most important thing. You have to keep it in your mind. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So energy methods, the, you know, they give rise to, you follow, right, so many things. Of course, this is one way, and other way. And anyway, in this problem, I am not interested in bending moment, or we are not interested in finding shear force and other things. We are interested only in the buckling load calculation only. So if you are interested only in the buckling load calculation, maybe you can use with the quadratic thing itself. You may get accurate result, but how you are writing your equations, and that becomes very, very, you know, the important kind of thing itself. So this you have to just keep it in your mind. Of course, if you use exact mode shape, obviously, if you use exact mode shape, say, if you are use the exact solution, that sine pi x by L, like in the previous problem, no? So sine pi x by L, if you use, say, whether you use, you know, this d square, this equation, or whether you use this, say, both of them will give you the same answer, because the things are exact. But if things are not exact, say, then if you use this, you may get something. If I use this, you may get something. So here you have to be slightly be careful actually. Okay, so this is a very, very important thing about the energy methods. Okay, and now after this, I think the video got, I think this was not there in the video, I think it got cut off. So now, you know, so if you want to generalize this energy methods, say, generalize. Okay, so if we want to make it more general, so all the energy methods basically, in, you know, they all come under which subject in mathematics? See, the energy methods, all the, you know, what is the mother of all the energy methods? Now in mathematics, you know, they use one subject term actually. Now, what is that? You know, I have explained in the next videos, you know, that is, I think 7 or 8 or something. All the energy methods comes under which branch of mathematics? What is that subject known as?
Calculus of variations.
Calculus of variations. Okay, variational principles. So all those things comes under, you know, calculus of variations. So this is the main, you know, the method. So this is the main mathematical method under which all these energy, everything comes under this itself. Okay, or variational principles, you know, they're right. But anyway, calculus of variations is the right name actually. Mathematically, you know, it sounds less. Okay, and now what does calculus of variation does? Now, see, generally calculus means we try to find out maximization of a minimum, you know, maximizing, you know, a function. You all of, you know, minimizing a function, you followed. So like you see, what do you do in maximizing? If you want to minimize or maximize a function, say, what is that you try to do?
We set the derivative to 0.
We take a derivative like you see dy by dx, you followed, right? And then you find out 0, and then you find out the maxima, minima, and all other things. Now in calculus of variations, we don't talk of functions at all. If you want to minimize and maximize a function, you use ordinary whatever calculus you have studied, that itself is sufficient. Calculus of variations is essentially about maximizing only, minimizing only. Instead of a function, we maximize functionals. You followed. So this is a technical word, functionals. Now, so in calculus of variations, we try to maximum, minima only. There is no difference. But instead of talking a function, we talk in terms of functionals. What is meant by functional? Now, what is the definition of a functional?
The function of a function.
Yeah, function of a function. Yeah, very good. I think all of you know all these things. Okay, so it's the function of a function. So we define functions like this. Okay, in calculation. So your function may be, you know, so like for example, if I write energy, the total energy or whatever, say. So like for example, I have a strain energy, I have delta W. Say if I want to write the total energy or whatever expression, so I will have terms like you see d square y by dx square will be their second derivative. first derivative, square, and all other things will be there. Okay, and finally you may have integral also. So I have a function, say x1 to x2. So we define like this, the functionals. So this may be function of y, y dash, all other, you say the derivative. So dx kind of a thing. So this is my, a definite integral. Okay, so I may have to, this is my functional, that is, function of a function. So this is my functional, okay, because f of x is a function. But if I write f of x comma y dash, because y dash itself is a function of x, dy by dx and others, so this becomes a function of a function itself. Okay, so this is how we try to write. Okay, and then here also one most important thing also, I think that video we would have missed is the difference between, so here when you are minimizing the function, so here it is slightly different basically. So now here what we are trying to do is from x1 to x2 say, so this is one end of the thing and this is x2. Okay, maybe a beam say 0 to L or whatever. So now what we are trying to do is we are trying to find out the buckling mode shape or what is a possible mode shape or whatever. So let us say this is my exact, the mode shape basically. Okay. So if I denote this mode shape as, y of x. So this is my exact value or whatever. So now here in the calculus of variations, what we try to do, we will find out all the paths. So this is one path, y of x. I can have another path also, something like this also. This may be also another path. So I will write this path as approximate. So y bar x is equal to, so this is exact value plus epsilon say, eta of x actual. So this is something like arbitrary kind of thing itself. So this is my arbitrary. Okay, so it is an arbitrary kind of thing we have. So now what calculus of variation says is, so now from x1 to x2 say, I can have variety of mode shapes or variety of shapes are possible actually. So now I want to find out the among all these possible mode shapes say, I want to find out the mode shape or the path which makes my this expression minimum. You follow, right? So that is the main the philosophy here. So what we are trying to find out is, so you have to find out the path. Okay, so you estimate the path or whatever, that is y hat of x, which makes which makes my I, that is this integral minimum you followed, right? Or which maximizes or whatever, so this comes into picture itself. So this is what you see the calculus of variations is all about actual. Okay, so now but here you have to be very careful here. So generally when you are differentiating, minimizing a function or maximizing a function, say we use dx kind of thing. Okay, but here in calculus of variations you are minimizing or maximizing a functional. So here you are not doing derivative basically. Okay, the ordinary derivative what you are having. So I am having several paths. So among all these paths say, okay, so I am finding which path will make my thing minimum. Okay, so here we do this symbol, del x or this one. Okay, this is the most important thing. So all of you would have known, right? What's the difference between dx and dou, this type of expression if I use what is the most important thing? A symbol. Both are same or different? No, dx and dou of x actually. What's the difference between these two symbols? No, you would have even studied in finite elements also.
So for dou x, for same x value, we have separate paths, different paths.
Excellent. Now, dx? Now, what is dx? See, when I write dx, what does it mean? If I write dou x, what does? Dou x, whatever you told is perfectly fine.
Dx is a difference between 2 points in one direction.
Excellent. Okay, so like if I'm having two paths, say, so this is my thing, this is one path, this is one path. So if I take my the diagram like this, y and x or whatever, so now when I say dx, so dx is associated with only one path. Okay, so this point you type two different x values. I am having x1, x2. So dx means it is something like at two different x values you find out, like say x y2 minus y1. It is like a slope kind of thing. Y2 minus y1 by x2 minus x1, 2x points. But when I say dou x, say dou x is at the same x value. follow? So this portions at the same x value. So we are finding the difference between two paths. So dou x refers to, it is not like x2 minus x1 or something. X is same only. So at the same point, the difference between two paths is denoted by this expression, whereas dx means two different x values. Okay, so this you should keep it in mind. And our calculus of variations is all about which one, dx or dou x? What is that we are interested here?
Dou x.
This dou x. Because here we are not interested in finding the derivative. We are trying to find out among all possible paths, which is the one which maximizes or minimizes my functional. Okay, so we are interested in dou x. So this you have to be very careful here. Okay, so now in the calculus of variations, I think in the next video you would have seen. But one thing what we have observed is so you have to use that whatever paths you are using, say, it has to satisfy the boundary conditions. Okay, this also I would have mentioned. You followed. So the boundary conditions, whatever you have, say, like for example, y at 0, y bar at L is equal to 0. So this you have to maintain. Okay, eta of L. So it has to satisfy. So there are some constraints are that you can't take whatever thing you like, but it has to satisfy some boundary conditions, like you see whatever 0 or something like that, you have. And of course, as rightly pointed out, some of the natural boundary condition, other boundary conditions also will come actually. Okay, and finally you write the total energy, that is u v. You would have, I think I would have written in the next lecture, I think ei by 2 y double dash, you substitute in the energy expressions. So epsilon whole square minus p by 2. So this is your strain energy. Okay, and then this is the work done by the load. So it is a derivative. So finally we write this is my total thing. And what is that we try to say is so we are trying to find out the path. So we have to, this has to be minimum or whatever you have. So the dou has to be controlled. So now this dou is essentially so among all the different paths, which is the one which controls. So of course I have to find out the path which makes my energy minimum or maximum or whatever. But finally say, so putting this dou operator here is essentially will link to what? It is controlled by which quantity in this on your right hand side. So which parameter controls this the difference between the paths? Now, which is the one which controls what's all the paths? Which is the one which is controlling? No.
Epsilon.
No, epsilon. Excellent. Okay, so this is the one which controls. Okay, so dou of this one, finally it boils down to the derivative only with respect to epsilon. You followed. So this and you have to make epsilon is equal to 0 also. Okay, because epsilon is the one, it is not a derivative, like ordinary dx kind of thing, but finally we write a dou only, but finally we get epsilon, and then you do all the algebra you would have done here. Okay, so in the next video I would have that we use this one. So d of u plus v with respect to d epsilon, and then you have to do, and the epsilon has to be 0. And I think finally it boils down to, I think, right, so 0 L. So ei y double dash eta double dash minus p y dash eta dash dx is equal to 0. And I think I would have finally, I think next video I think it has. Okay, so all the boundary conditions. So here I would have explained in the video. Okay, I think after this I think video is there in the next this one. Finally everything boils down to, we will get what is the final output of this exercise. Have anybody have you seen that class 7 video? No. So your calculus of variations, after doing this one, so what is that you get finally?
Equation of equilibrium.
You will get the equation. You will not get solution. Please be careful. Calculus of variations will not give you any solution. Okay, it will give you the equation of equilibrium only. So if you see this one, so py double dash is 0. Then apart from equation, what does it give extra?
Natural boundary condition.
So this problem, you will have, right, nicely. Y double dash x is equal to 0 is 0. You will get everything. So this is the beauty of calculus of variations. Okay, so calculus of variations advantage is it gives you the equation of motion also, and it will also give you the boundary condition. Okay, that is the beauty of calculus of variations. Okay. So these other alternatives, say like for example, that self-buckling or many complicated problems will be there, where if you want to write the equation of equilibrium, say that itself will be complex because so many issues will be there. Free body diagram, you may not be comfortable. It may be very difficult. But on the other hand, if you can write expressions for energies which are very easy, bending energy, that energy, or whatever, and then you do this calculus of variations, it will automatically you will get the equation of equilibrium. It also will give this boundary condition. That's the advantage of this one. Now, once you have this one, then this will give you the strong form only. Okay, so then you do the approximate methods. So all the approximate methods, whatever we discussed, right? But all the approximate methods, the starting point is you assume some eigenvector, okay, as a polynomial or whatever you like there, and then you substitute and then you follow, right? You will get the solutions only. So this is how the calculus of variations helps you in deriving the equations of motion and as well as the boundary condition. So this I think was missing in the video, and the next videos I think now I think it is easy for all of you to follow the remaining videos. Okay. Now you can ask me questions basically. So I will stop recording and I will post it in the